The Galactic Council had long scoffed at the primitive nature of humanity's technology. Their weapons were crude, their ships lumbering, and their ability to traverse the stars woefully limited. Yet these strange bipeds from the backwater planet called Earth had proven themselves a resilient and resourceful species, capable of enduring the harshest conditions. When they were finally invited to join the Galactic Council, the other species were shocked by humanity's bold request. They demanded to keep their technological advancements a closely guarded secret. The delegates from the major galactic powers, the Corvairi Empire, the Zaldari Technocracy, and the Trelshaw Concordance, exchanged perplexed looks. What could these backward humans possibly have that was worth concealing? Humanity's representatives, led by the brilliant scientist Dr. Sarah Chen, simply smiled and said, "You're not ready. Our technology is far beyond anything you've ever seen, and we cannot risk it falling into the wrong hands." The council erupted in outrage. How dare these upstart humans make such demands? They had barely mastered interstellar travel, and now they sought to withhold their knowledge from the more advanced civilizations of the galaxy. Tempers flared, and it seemed the fragile alliance was on the verge of collapse. In the midst of the chaos, Dr. Chen raised her hand, commanding the attention of the room. "Honorable members of the Galactic Council, please hear me out. Humanity has endured great hardship to reach this point. We have survived global wars, ecological disasters, and even the threat of extinction. Through it all, we have pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible, driven by an unquenchable thirst for knowledge and a fierce determination to protect our home." The other delegates listened, their anger slowly giving way to curiosity. Dr. Chen continued, "In our darkest hours, we have developed technologies that you cannot begin to comprehend. Weapons capable of annihilating entire worlds, ships that can traverse the galaxy in the blink of an eye, and innovations that would revolutionize your societies." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the silent chamber. "But we have also seen the consequences of such power falling into the wrong hands. We have witnessed the devastation wrought by those who would seek to dominate rather than uplift. That is why we cannot, not, share our most advanced technologies with you, not until we are certain you are ready to wield them responsibly." The Corvairi delegate, a hulking reptilian creature, rumbled in displeasure. "You dare to lecture us, human? We are the guardians of the galaxy, the keepers of peace and order. What makes you think you can withhold such knowledge from us?" Dr. Chen met the delegate's gaze unflinchingly. "Because we have seen the price of complacency. We have stood at the edge of the abyss, and we know the true cost of unchecked ambition and the abuse of power. That is why we will not take the risk, not until you have proven yourselves worthy." The chamber erupted into heated debate, with the other delegates furiously arguing against humanity's demands. Some threatened to expel the humans from the council altogether, while others insisted that sharing their technologies was a condition of membership. Dr. Chen remained steadfast, calmly rebutting each argument with a cool logic that belied the intensity of the situation. As the hours ticked by, it became clear that the council was at an impasse. The humans were not backing down, and the other species were unwilling to concede. Finally, the Trelshaw delegate, a being of shifting, ethereal form, raised a tentacle-like appendage, silencing the room. "Perhaps," the delegate said in a whisper-soft voice, "we are approaching this the wrong way. Instead of demanding that the humans share their knowledge, we should seek to understand why they are so reluctant to do so." The delegate turned to Dr. Chen, its ever-changing features shifting into what seemed like a gesture of deference. "Tell us, Doctor, what is it that you and your people have witnessed that has made you so wary of entrusting us with your most advanced technologies?" Dr. Chen's lips curled into a faint smile. "That, honorable delegate, is a story worth telling, but it is not one to be shared lightly." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the council. "If you are truly ready to listen, then perhaps we can find a way to bridge the divide between us." The chamber fell silent, the tension palpable as the council members considered Dr. Chen's words. Finally, the Corvary delegate gave a slow, grudging nod. "Very well, human. Tell us your story. Perhaps then we will understand why you cling so tightly to your secrets." Dr. Chen inclined her head in acknowledgement. "Then let me begin by telling you about the Great War." The Galactic Council listened in rapt attention as Dr. Sarah Chen recounted the harrowing tale of humanity's past. Her words painted a vivid picture of a world torn apart by conflict, where nations clashed with ever more destructive weapons, and the very foundations of civilization teetered on the brink of collapse. The Great War was a calamity the likes of which our planet had never seen. Dr. Chen said solemnly. Entire cities were reduced to rubble, millions perished, and the ecological damage was catastrophic. It was a dark chapter in our history, one that nearly led to our extinction. She paused, her gaze distant as if reliving the horrors of that bygone era. In the aftermath, we vowed that such devastation would never happen again. We poured our resources into developing new technologies, not for the sake of conquest, but for the preservation of our species and our home. The Corvary delegate rumbled, his reptilian features etched with a frown. "And these technologies you speak of, the ones you refuse to share with us, are they the same ones that nearly destroyed your world?" Dr. Chen shook her head. "Not precisely. The weapons of the Great War, while devastating, were crude and indiscriminate. What we have developed since then—" She paused, her expression turning grim. "They are far more precise, far more powerful, capable of targeting specific locations with pinpoint accuracy, minimizing collateral damage. And they are only the beginning." The Trelshaw delegate's form shimmered, as if reflecting the unease that had settled over the chamber. "Then why would you not share such remarkable advancements with the rest of us? Surely with such technology, we could put an end to the conflicts that plague the galaxy." "Ah, but therein lies the problem," Dr. Chen replied, her voice tinged with a note of sadness. "For you see, the same technologies that could end war could also be used to wage it on an unimaginable scale. In the wrong hands, they could become instruments of domination, subjugating entire civilizations to the whims of a single power." The Zaldari delegate, a being of pure energy, spoke up, its voice resonating with a sense of urgency. "But we are not the wrong hands, human. We are the Galactic Council, the guardians of peace and prosperity. Surely you can trust us with such power." Dr. Chen fixed the delegate with a piercing gaze. "Can I? How can I be certain that your noble intentions will not be corrupted, that your successors will not seek to abuse the knowledge we possess? The consequences of such a misstep are too grave to contemplate." The chamber fell silent, the weight of Dr. Chen's words hanging in the air. The delegates exchanged uneasy glances, the gravity of the situation dawning on them. Finally, the Corvary delegate rumbled. "Then what do you propose, human? How can we earn your trust, your willingness to share the secrets of your technological prowess?" Dr. Chen considered the question for a moment, her brow furrowed in thought. "That, honorable delegates, is a complex question without a simple answer. Trust, as you well know, is not something that can be demanded. It must be earned, through actions and deeds that demonstrate a true commitment to the greater good." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the council. "What I can say is this. If you are willing to work with us, to truly listen and understand the lessons we have learned, then perhaps, we can find a way to bridge the divide between us. But it will not be easy, and it will require a level of cooperation and transparency that I'm not certain you are prepared to offer." The Trelshaw delegate's form seemed to ripple with contemplation. "Then let us start with that, Dr. Chen. Show us the path forward, and we will do our utmost to walk it, no matter how difficult the journey may be." Dr. Chen nodded, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. "Very well, then. Let us begin by discussing the nature of the technologies we have developed and the measures we have taken to ensure they are used responsibly." She paused, her gaze hardening. "But understand this. If at any point we feel that our trust has been betrayed, we will not hesitate to withdraw from this council and take our secrets with us. The fate of the galaxy may very well depend on your ability to prove yourselves worthy." The delegates exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of Dr. Chen's words settling over the chamber. The future, it seemed, hung in the balance, and the Galactic Council had no choice but to tread carefully if they hoped to unravel the mystery of humanity's secret arsenal. The Galactic Council found themselves in uncharted territory as they began delving into the mysteries of humanity's advanced technology. Under the cautious guidance of Dr. Sarah Chen, the delegates from the Corvairi Empire, Zalvari Technocracy, and Trelshaw Concordance were granted a glimpse into the innovations that had propelled Earth's species to the forefront of galactic power. "Our first breakthrough came in the field of energy generation," Dr. Chen explained, her fingers dancing across a holographic display. "We developed a process of harnessing the very fabric of the universe to produce clean, limitless power, a technology we call zero-point energy." The Corvairi delegate, Sorath, leaned forward, his reptilian eyes narrowing. "This zero-point energy, how does it work? And why have you not shared it with the rest of us?" Dr. Chen met his gaze evenly. The principles behind zero-point energy are both elegant and complex. In essence, we have learned to extract the immense, latent power that exists within the quantum fluctuations of the vacuum itself. She paused, her expression darkening. "As for why we have not shared it, well, you need only look to the devastation of the Great War to understand our caution." Sorath rumbled, his claws tapping against the ornate table. Surely the benefits of such technology would outweigh the risks. With unlimited power at our disposal, we could finally put an end to the conflicts that have plagued the galaxy for millennia. "And therein lies the problem," Dr. Chen replied, her voice grave. "Power, in and of itself, is neither good nor evil. It is how that power is wielded that determines its impact. We have seen firsthand how the temptation of such technology can corrupt even the noblest of intentions." The Trelshaw delegate, Zilla-3, shifted their amorphous form, a contemplative air surrounding them. "Then tell us, Doctor, how have you ensured that your own people have not fallen victim to that same temptation?" Dr. Chen smiled wryly. "It has not been easy, I assure you. The path we have chosen is fraught with challenges, both ethical and practical. But we have learned from the mistakes of the past and have implemented safeguards to prevent the misuse of our technologies." She gestured to the holographic display, which now showed a series of schematics and diagrams. For example, our zero-point energy reactors are designed with built-in fail-safes and limiters. They cannot be easily modified or tampered with, and their output is carefully regulated to prevent catastrophic overloads. The Zalvari delegate, Kirish, studied the diagrams with evident fascination. "Fascinating. And what of your other technological advancements? Surely you have not limited yourselves to energy production alone." Dr. Chen nodded. "Indeed not. Our breakthroughs extend to a wide range of fields, from advanced propulsion systems that can traverse the galaxy in a matter of hours to weapons capable of precision targeting with minimal collateral damage." Sorath's eyes narrowed, a hint of suspicion in his voice. "Weapons, you say? And how, pray tell, have you ensured that these precision weapons will not be used for conquest or subjugation?" "A fair question, Sorath," Dr. Chen acknowledged. "The truth is, we have struggled with that very dilemma. The temptation to use such power to establish dominance has been ever present. But we have chosen a different path, one of restraint and responsibility." She tapped the holographic display, and new schematics appeared, showcasing various safeguards and limitations built into the weapon systems. "Our weapons are designed first and foremost for defense, to protect our people, our homeworld, and our colonies from those who would seek to do us harm. They cannot be activated without multiple layers of authorization, and their use is strictly regulated by our governing bodies." Zilla-3's form seemed to shimmer with contemplation. "And you believe that such measures will be enough to prevent their misuse, even should your people's leadership change in the future?" Dr. Chen sighed, a hint of weariness in her expression. I cannot say with absolute certainty. The future, as you well know, is ever-changing and unpredictable. But we have done everything in our power to instill a deep sense of responsibility and ethical consideration within our species. The lessons of the Great War have been seared into our collective consciousness, and we are determined not to repeat the mistakes of the past. The delegates fell silent, the weight of Dr. Chen's words settling over the chamber. Karish spoke up, their energy-based form pulsing with a newfound sense of understanding. Then perhaps, Dr. Chen, it is time for us to set aside our preconceptions and work together, not as adversaries, but as partners. If we can learn from the wisdom you have gained and apply it to the challenges we face in the galaxy, then perhaps we can forge a future of lasting peace and prosperity. Dr. Chen's lips curved into a faint smile. I'm glad you see it that way, Karish. For the sake of us all, I sincerely hope that the Galactic Council is ready to embrace that challenge. The delegates exchanged a series of contemplative glances, the air thick with the promise of a new era, one where the fate of the galaxy might just rest on the delicate balance of trust and responsibility. In the years that followed, the Galactic Council found itself navigating a complex and often treacherous path as it sought to forge a new relationship with humanity. The initial tensions and suspicions had not dissipated entirely, but a fragile trust had begun to take root, one built on a shared understanding of the responsibilities that came with wielding immense power. Under the watchful guidance of Dr. Sarah Chen and her team of human representatives, the council members were granted deeper insights into the technologies that had so captivated their curiosity. They marveled at the elegant principles behind zero-point energy, the precision and versatility of humanity's advanced weaponry, and the ingenious systems designed to prevent their misuse. Yet, even as the delegates gained a newfound respect for their human counterparts, a sense of unease began to creep through the halls of the Galactic Council. For while they could appreciate the care and foresight that had gone into the development of these technologies, the specter of humanity's past conflicts continued to loom large in their minds. You speak of the Great War as a cautionary tale. Torath, the Corvairi delegate, rumbled during one particularly tense session. And yet, your species has continued to develop weapons of unimaginable power. How can we be certain that the temptation to use them will not eventually prove too great? Dr. Chen met the reptilian's gaze with a measured expression. You raise a valid concern, Torath. The truth is, we can never be certain that the mistakes of the past will not be repeated. No matter how many safeguards we put in place, there will always be the risk of human fallibility and greed. She paused, her brow furrowing. But we have learned that the only path to true peace is through vigilance, accountability, and a steadfast commitment to the greater good. That is why we have chosen to share our knowledge with you, the Galactic Council, not because we trust you implicitly, but because we believe that by working together, we can create a future where the horrors of the past need never be revisited. Zillithri, the Trellshah delegate, spoke up, their ethereal form shimmering with a thoughtful hue. And what of your own people, Dr. Chen? Surely there must be those among you who would seek to abuse this power for their own gain. Dr. Chen nodded solemnly. Indeed, there are always those who would seek to subvert the greater good for their own selfish ends. That is why we have implemented stringent oversight and governance structures to ensure that our technologies are used responsibly. She gestured to a series of holographic diagrams outlining the intricate system of checks and balances that regulated humanity's most advanced innovations. Our weapons, for example, are designed with multiple layers of authorization and fail-safes. They cannot be activated without the consensus of our planetary governing bodies, and their use is strictly limited to defensive measures or emergency situations. Kirish, the Zaldari delegate, studied the diagrams with evident fascination. Remarkable. And what of your other technologies, the ones you've described as capable of traversing the galaxy in the blink of an eye? Surely those could be used for conquest as well. Dr. Chen nodded, her expression grave. That is precisely why we have taken such great care in how we develop and utilize our advanced propulsion systems. They are not weapons, but tools, instruments that allow us to explore the stars, to establish diplomatic ties, and to render aid in times of crisis. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the council chamber. But make no mistake, we are under no illusions about the potential for misuse. That is why we have designed our ships with their own fail-safes and have established strict protocols governing their use. Any deviation from those protocols would be immediately detected and swiftly addressed. The delegates fell silent, their features etched with a mixture of awe and unease. The power that humanity wielded was undeniable, and the responsibility that came with it weighed heavily on their minds. Finally, Ktorath rumbled, "And what assurance do we have that these safeguards will endure? That your people will not one day succumb to the same temptations that have corrupted countless civilizations before?" Dr. Chen's expression hardened. "The truth is, you have no such assurance, Ktorath. The future is never certain, and the path of humanity is ever evolving. All we can offer is our word, our commitment to the principles of peace and cooperation that have guided us this far." She leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. "But I can tell you this. If we ever sense that our trust has been betrayed, that our technologies are being used to subjugate or oppress, we will not hesitate to withdraw from this council and take our secrets with us. The fate of the galaxy may very well depend on your ability to prove yourselves worthy." The chamber fell silent, the weight of Dr. Chen's words hanging in the air. The delegates exchanged uneasy glances, the realization dawning that the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, and that the future now rested on a delicate dance of trust and responsibility. The uneasy alliance between humanity and the Galactic Council teetered on the brink of collapse as tensions continued to simmer beneath the surface. The delegates struggled to reconcile their own ambitions and fears with the sobering realities that Dr. Sarah Chen and her team had laid bare. Months had passed since the last tense meeting, and the delegates had returned to their respective homeworlds to ponder the implications of what they had learned. The prospect of wielding the incredible power that humanity possessed was both alluring and terrifying, and the council found itself divided on how to proceed. The Corvairi, ever the warlike pragmatists, advocated for seizing control of humanity's technological secrets, arguing that the risks of leaving such formidable weapons in the hands of the backward humans were too great to ignore. Ktorath, their bellicose delegate, had gone so far as to suggest that the council should issue an ultimatum: share their knowledge or face expulsion. In contrast, the Trelshaw and Zaldari delegates, Zilithri and Kirish, argued for a more cautious and cooperative approach. They recognized the weight of responsibility that came with wielding such power and insisted that the council must prove itself worthy of humanity's trust before any further concessions could be made. The debates raged on, with neither side willing to compromise. The fragile trust that had begun to build threatened to shatter, and the specter of a potential rift within the Galactic Council loomed large. It was against this backdrop of growing discord that a shocking event unfolded, one that would forever alter the course of the galaxy. A human colony on the fringes of explored space, known as Arcturus Prime, had been the target of a brazen attack by a rival alien faction, the Xendari Dominion. The colony's defense forces, equipped with the latest in human military technology, had fought valiantly, but were ultimately outmatched by the sheer numbers and firepower of the Xendari invaders. As the battle raged, the colony's leadership sent out a desperate distress call, pleading for aid from the Galactic Council. But the Council, still mired in bitter debate, was slow to respond. By the time they reached a decision, it was already too late. Arcturus Prime had been reduced to rubble, its once thriving population decimated. The Xendari had achieved a decisive victory, and the news sent shockwaves through the council chambers. It was then that Dr. Chen and her team returned, their expressions grim and resolute. "Honorable delegates," she said, her voice cutting through the stunned silence, "the time for talk is over. Arcturus Prime has fallen, and our people have paid the ultimate price for your inaction. Soroth, the Corvary delegate, bristled, his reptilian features twisting into a snarl. And what do you expect us to do, human? We are not your personal army, to be called upon whenever your petty conflicts demand it. Dr. Chen's eyes narrowed, her calm demeanor belying the steel in her voice. This is no petty conflict, Soroth. The Ktendari Dominion poses a threat to the stability of the entire galaxy. And if you will not act to defend us, then we will be forced to take matters into our own hands. Zilla-3, the Trelshaw delegate, raised a tentacle-like appendage, silencing the chamber. What are you proposing, Dr. Chen? They asked, their ethereal form shifting with a sense of foreboding. I am proposing that we put an end to this conflict, once and for all, Dr. Chen replied, her gaze sweeping across the council. The Ksendari have made their intentions clear. They seek to subjugate and dominate, to crush any who dare to stand in their way. And we can no longer afford to stand idly by while they do so. She paused, the weight of her words hanging in the air. I am asking that you grant us permission to use our most advanced technologies, the ones we have so carefully guarded, to strike back against the Ksendari Dominion and liberate the galaxy from their oppressive grasp. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of protests and demands, the delegates struggling to comprehend the gravity of Dr. Chen's request. Soroth's voice thundered above the din, his claws slamming against the table. Absolutely not. We will not allow you to wield such power, human. Who's to say you won't turn it against us next? Dr. Chen's expression remained resolute, unflinching in the face of the delegate's fury, because we have no desire for conquest or domination. Soroth, our only goal is to protect our people and the stability of the galaxy, a goal that I believe we all share. Kirish, the Zaldari delegate, spoke up, their energy-based form pulsing with a sense of contemplation. And what assurance can you give us, Dr. Chen, that your people will not abuse this power, even in the pursuit of that noble goal? Dr. Chen's lips curled into a faint smile. The same assurance we have always offered, our word, and our unwavering commitment to the principles of peace and cooperation. But make no mistake, Kirish, the time for talk has passed. The Ksendari have made their choice, and now we must make ours. The chamber fell silent, the weight of Dr. Chen's ultimatum hanging in the air. The delegates exchanged uneasy glances, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and resignation. For in that moment, they all knew that the delicate balance of power in the galaxy was about to be shattered, and the consequences of their decision would echo through the stars for generations to come. The Galactic Council found itself confronted with an impossible choice, one that threatened to irreparably fracture the fragile alliance between humanity and the other galactic powers. Dr. Sarah Chen's bold request to utilize humanity's advanced technologies in the defense of Arcturus Prime had thrown the chamber into a state of stunned silence, the delegates grappling with the implications of her demands. Soroth, the Corvary delegate, was the first to find his voice, his reptilian features twisted in a snarl. Absolutely not, human. We will not allow you to unleash such devastating power, not even in the name of protecting the galaxy. Who's to say you won't turn it against us next? Dr. Chen met the delegate's fierce gaze with a calm, unwavering expression. Because we have no desire for conquest or domination. Soroth, our only goal is to safeguard our people and the stability of the galaxy, a goal that I believe we all share. Kirish, the Zaldari delegate, spoke up, their energy-based form pulsing with a contemplative hue. And what assurance can you give us, Dr. Chen, that your people will not abuse this power, even in the pursuit of that noble goal? The same assurance we have always offered, Dr. Chen replied, her voice resolute. Our word and our unwavering commitment to the principles of peace and cooperation. But make no mistake, the time for talk has passed. The Ksendari have made their choice, and now we must make ours. The chamber erupted into a cacophony of heated debate, the delegates trading accusations and demands in a desperate attempt to find a resolution. Tempers flared, and the fragile trust that had begun to build threatened to shatter completely. Amidst the chaos, Zillithry, the Trellshaw delegate, raised a tentacle-like appendage, their ethereal form shimmering with a sense of solemn contemplation. "Dr. Chen, I must ask, what will happen if we deny your request? What are the consequences for the galaxy should we refuse to aid you in this conflict?" The room fell silent, all eyes turning to the human scientist. Dr. Chen's expression hardened, a hint of regret flickering across her features. "If you refuse, Zillithry, then we will be forced to act on our own. We cannot, in good conscience, stand by and allow the Tsendari to continue their rampage across the stars. The price of inaction would be too high, both for our people and for the stability of the entire galaxy." Soroth's claws tapped against the ornate table, his reptilian eyes narrowing with suspicion. "And what, pray tell, does acting on your own entail, human? Surely you don't mean to challenge the might of the Galactic Council?" Dr. Chen's gaze hardened, a steely resolve etched in her expression. "If necessary, yes. We have seen the consequences of unchecked aggression and the devastation it can bring. We will not allow the Tsendari to inflict such suffering upon our people or any other." The chamber erupted once more, the delegates shouting and gesticulating in a futile attempt to drown out the implications of Dr. Chen's words. The Corvairi and Zaldari delegates, in particular, traded barbs and threats, their age-old rivalries bubbling to the surface. Amidst the chaos, Karish's energy-based form flared to life, their voice cutting through the din. "Enough. This bickering serves no purpose. We must consider the gravity of the situation and the consequences of our actions or inaction." The room fell silent, all eyes turning to the Zaldari delegate. Karish continued, their tone laced with a sense of resigned acceptance. "Dr. Chen, I believe I speak for us all when I say that we are deeply troubled by the prospect of granting you unfettered access to your most advanced technologies. The risks are undeniable, and the potential for abuse is ever present." The human scientist nodded, her expression somber. "I understand your concerns, Karish. Believe me, we have agonized over this decision ourselves, but the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance, and we cannot afford to be paralyzed by fear." Soroth rumbled, his claws flexing with barely contained aggression. "And what assurances can you give us, human, that your people will not turn those same technologies against us once the Tsendari have been dealt with?" Dr. Chen's gaze swept across the chamber, her eyes gleaming with a steely resolve. "The only assurance I can give you, Soroth, is our word. We have come too far, endured too much, to jeopardize the fragile peace we have fought to build. If we succeed in this endeavor, we will prove our commitment to the principles of cooperation and mutual understanding that have brought us to this point." The delegates exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of Dr. Chen's words settling over the chamber. The decision they faced was one of monumental consequence, a choice that would shape the course of the galaxy for generations to come. Finally, Zellithry's form shimmered with a sense of resignation. "Very well, Dr. Chen. You have our permission to utilize your advanced technologies in the defense of Arcturus Prime and the broader conflict with the Tsendari Dominion." The human scientist inclined her head, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. "Thank you, Zellithry. I can assure you, you will not regret this decision." As the delegates filed out of the chamber, a sense of unease hung in the air, for they knew that the delicate balance of power had been irrevocably altered. The fate of the galaxy now rested on humanity's ability to wield its might responsibly, a burden that would test the very limits of trust and cooperation. In the wake of the Galactic Council's momentous decision to grant humanity permission to utilize its advanced technologies in the defense of the galaxy, a sense of unease settled over the stars. The delegates from the Corvairi Empire, Zaldari Technocracy, and Trellshaw Concordance found themselves grappling with a complex and unsettling reality. They had entrusted the fate of the galaxy to a species whose capabilities and intentions they could scarcely comprehend. As the human forces mobilized, deploying their mysterious secret arsenal against the relentless onslaught of the Xendari Dominion, the other galactic powers watched with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Reports trickled in of planet-shattering weapons, ships that could traverse vast distances in the blink of an eye, and devastating precision strikes that left the Xendari reeling. Sorath, the Corvairi delegate, found himself increasingly uneasy, his reptilian features etched with a deep frown. How can we be certain that the humans will not turn these same weapons against us once the Xendari have been dealt with? He rumbled, voicing the concerns that weighed heavily on the minds of his fellow council members. Zilithri, the Trelshaw delegate, shifted their ethereal form, their voice tinged with a sense of contemplation. We must have faith, Sorath, that the humans will uphold the principles of cooperation and mutual understanding that have brought us this far. They have shown themselves to be a people driven by a fierce determination to protect their own, yet also cognizant of the dangers of unchecked power. Kirish, the Zaldari delegate, nodded in agreement, their energy-based body pulsing with a measured cadence. Indeed, and we must remember that the humans have as much to lose as we do should this alliance crumble. They have entrusted us with their most closely guarded secrets. The least we can do is reciprocate that trust. Yet, even as the council members sought to reassure one another, the mystery surrounding humanity's secret arsenal only deepened. Attempts to gather intelligence on the specifics of their technology proved frustratingly elusive, as the humans maintained an unwavering veil of secrecy. Reports from the front lines spoke of ships that could seemingly materialize from nowhere, weapons that could reduce entire worlds to rubble in a matter of minutes, and defenses that rendered conventional armaments all but useless. The Xendari, once a feared and formidable foe, found themselves outmatched at every turn, their advance ground to a halt by the relentless onslaught of their human adversaries. As the war raged on, the Galactic Council found itself torn between a newfound respect for humanity's capabilities and a deep-seated unease about the implications of such power. The specter of the Great War continued to loom large in their minds, a cautionary tale of the devastation that could be wrought when technology fell into the wrong hands. In the midst of the conflict, Dr. Sarah Chen and her team remained steadfast, their commitment to the principles of peace and cooperation unwavering. They provided regular updates to the Council, offering insights into the technological advancements that had turned the tide of the war, while steadfastly refusing to divulge the full extent of their arsenal. Our technologies are not mere weapons, honorable delegates, Dr. Chen would remind them, her gaze level and unwavering. They are tools, instruments of exploration, of discovery, of safeguarding the fragile balance of the galaxy. We wield them not out of a thirst for domination, but a desire to protect the innocent and maintain the stability that we all hold dear. The delegates found themselves torn, their suspicions warring with a growing sense of awe and respect for the human species. Sorath's bellicose demands for greater control gave way to a more measured approach, while Zilithri and Kirish worked tirelessly to foster a deeper understanding and cooperation between their worlds. As the years passed and the war against the Xendari Dominion raged on, the Galactic Council found itself increasingly dependent on the technological might of humanity. The humans had proven themselves time and again, their advanced weaponry and propulsion systems turning the tide of battle, while their unwavering commitment to the greater good had earned them a grudging respect from even the most skeptical of delegates. Yet, the mystery of the secret arsenal only deepened, with the humans steadfastly refusing to share the full scope of their capabilities. Attempts to uncover the truth were met with polite but firm refusals, leaving the other galactic powers to wonder at the true extent of humanity's technological prowess. In the end, the Galactic Council found itself in a position it had never anticipated, one where the fate of the galaxy rested squarely on the shoulders of a species they had once dismissed as primitive and backward. And as the war dragged on, a growing sense of unease settled over the stars. for no one knew what other surprises humanity might have in store. As the decades-long conflict against the Xendari Dominion raged on, the Galactic Council found itself increasingly in awe of the extraordinary capabilities displayed by humanity. Time and again, the humans had proven themselves to be a formidable and relentless adversary, their advanced technologies and unwavering commitment to the greater good turning the tide of battle in ways that surpassed even the Council's most optimistic projections. Yet, even as the human forces continued to push back the Xendari invaders, the mystery surrounding their secret arsenal only deepened. Dr. Sarah Chen and her team remained steadfast in their refusal to divulge the full scope of their technological prowess, frustrating the delegates' attempts to uncover the truth. Sorath, the Corvairi delegate, found himself torn between a growing respect for humanity's capabilities and a deep-seated unease about the implications of such power. How can we be certain that the humans will not turn these same weapons against us once the Xendari have been defeated? He rumbled, his reptilian features etched with a frown. Zillithri, the Trelshaw delegate, shifted their ethereal form, their voice tinged with a sense of contemplation. We must have faith, Sorath, that the humans will continue to uphold the principles of cooperation and mutual understanding that have brought us this far. They have shown themselves to be a people driven by a fierce determination to protect their own, yet also cognizant of the dangers of unchecked power. Kirish, the Zaldari delegate, nodded in agreement, their energy-based body pulsing with a measured cadence. Indeed, and we must remember that the humans have as much to lose as we do should this alliance crumble. They have entrusted us with their most closely guarded secrets. The least we can do is reciprocate that trust. As the war dragged on, the Galactic Council found itself increasingly reliant on the technological might of humanity. The humans' advanced weaponry and propulsion systems had proven instrumental in turning the tide of battle, while their unwavering commitment to the greater good had earned them a grudging respect from even the most skeptical of delegates. Yet the mystery of the secret arsenal only deepened, with the humans steadfastly refusing to share the full scope of their capabilities. Attempts to uncover the truth were met with polite but firm refusals, leaving the other galactic powers to wonder at the true extent of humanity's technological prowess. In the midst of the conflict, Dr. Chen and her team remained steadfast, their commitment to the principles of peace and cooperation unwavering. They provided regular updates to the Council, offering insights into the technological advancements that had turned the tide of the war, while steadfastly refusing to divulge the full extent of their arsenal. Our technologies are not mere weapons, honorable delegates, Dr. Chen would remind them, her gaze level and unwavering. They are tools, instruments of exploration, of discovery, of safeguarding the fragile balance of the galaxy. We wield them not out of a thirst for domination, but a desire to protect the innocent and maintain the stability that we all hold dear. The delegates found themselves torn, their suspicions warring with a growing sense of awe and respect for the human species. Sorath's bellicose demands for greater control gave way to a more measured approach, while Zillithri and Kirish worked tirelessly to foster a deeper understanding and cooperation between their worlds. As the war dragged on, the Galactic Council realized that the true strength of humanity lay not just in their advanced technologies, but in the indomitable spirit that drove them. They had endured the horrors of the Great War, and had emerged from that crucible with a renewed determination to protect the delicate balance of the galaxy, no matter the cost. And so, the Council found itself in a position it had never anticipated, one where the fate of the galaxy rested squarely on the shoulders of a species they had once dismissed as primitive and backward. The humans had proven themselves to be not just allies, but valuable partners in the quest for a lasting peace. In the end, it was not the sheer might of humanity's secret arsenal that turned the tide of the war, but their unwavering commitment to the principles of cooperation, responsibility, and the greater good. The Xendari Dominion, once a formidable foe, found themselves outmatched not just in terms of raw power, but in the determination and ingenuity of their human adversaries. As the final battles were fought, and the Exendari were driven from the galaxy. The Galactic Council found itself in awe of the remarkable achievements of this once isolated species. The humans had not only defended their own homeworld and colonies, but had played a pivotal role in safeguarding the stability and prosperity of the entire galaxy. In the aftermath of the war, the delegates from the Corvairi, Zaldari, and Trelshaw worlds found themselves reevaluating their perceptions of humanity, their once skeptical views giving way to a newfound respect and admiration. The mystery of the secret arsenal remained, but the Council had learned a valuable lesson: to never underestimate the ingenuity and resilience of the human spirit. From that day forward, humanity's voice carried great weight in the decisions of the Galactic Council. Their counsel and expertise sought out on matters of galactic import. The alliance between the humans and the other galactic powers had been forged in the crucible of war, but it had emerged as a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of cooperation, responsibility, and a shared vision for a brighter future.